What's up, people? This is Nature Girl 30 here, and I am coming to you with the Smackdown review for November 11th. Now, with it being November 11th and it's 2 weeks away from Survivor Series, you want to do everything you can to try to promote Survivor Series for your brand. And I really do believe that Smackdown has done a good job with this. I actually did like the intro, especially when Randy Orton and Wade Barrett came out. And since Randy Orton is the leader of the faces, while Wade Barrett is the leader of the heels. Hopefully there'll be a potential feud with them because I really do think it'll be a decent feud. And I like the way that he was saying that that he's not much of a team player, that but he will do anything he can to try to get people out of their way. Honestly, I beg to differ, but I'll move on from there. I like the way Tay Long actually did set up the main event for the night, actually having the leaders of the Survivor Series leaders go at it, and I really do think that was a great setup, gave us a taste exactly on how Survivor Series may or may not turn out. But moving on towards the other matches, the one thing that really does sadden me is Jinder Mahal and Ted DiBiase. Don't get me wrong, I love seeing Ted DiBiase being pushed because he actually does deserve it. It's been a while. He hasn't really won any titles on his own yet, and I actually do believe it's great for Ted DiBiase to be pushed. It's sad that Jinder Mahal, he was pushed so strongly when he first came out. Especially he had mic time. The fact that he was in the ring a few times, he still was a bit rusty. But honestly, he hasn't had a chance to further develop his character, let alone develop his ring persona yet. So him coming out, unfortunately, was a little bit too early. But then after the Great Khali dropped him, he kind of got pushed on the wayside, and he was buried under 1 minute. Yes, that match with Ted DiBiase was 1 minute, and that's pretty bad. I mean, he practically got buried tonight, and it really did make me sad that had to happen because they both deserve to have a decent push. But unfortunately, it wasn't Jinder Mahal. I'm hoping that they actually develop something with Jinder Mahal so he won't become a complete waste of space and they won't axe him. But moving on from there, Christian versus Sheamus. Obviously, a Christian versus Sheamus match never disappoints, especially the fact that Sheamus is so well connected and so well in tune with Sheamus that it's actually pretty fluid throughout the entire match, and it actually does show, how it shows some realism there. So on the real, it never does disappoint. It's always good to see Sheamus versus Christian matches because Christian makes you work, while Sheamus also makes you work because of the fact of how strong he is, and he makes you think on how to use your moves and how to use your moves effectively. So that's the reason why I always like Christian matches because he makes you work. So that was a great match in itself, and I enjoyed it highly. Moving on from there, the backstage scenes actually did impress me this time. Usually I don't really talk much about them, but when you actually see Mark Henry backstage, it's always in a persona in a way that he actually scares the crap out of you to where you don't want to go anywhere near him. Nobody wants to go near him because they're afraid they're going to get just have the crap knocked out of them. But honestly, he seemed really, really subdued. Like he had, they gave him a drug or something to mellow him out. He wasn't as aggressive as he was at that time, and I guess maybe he was a little bit humbled about what the Big Show did to him, and they wanted to put that in there. But he was the passive one, while Daniel Bryan was the aggressive one. Now that's something I really didn't expect. But as for the match, Daniel Bryan has a lot of potential. And that was definitely, a big guy versus little guy style match. But Daniel Bryan can definitely hold his own, and he has a ton of potential. The only problem is when he tried to put the LeBell lock on him, he couldn't really lock it in because the guy was huge. But, it's a given how that would happen. The fact that, that the Mark Henry was going to dominate and win. But there is truly some potential in Daniel Bryan. The only thing about it is that Daniel Bryan, all he has is the Money in the Bank briefcase to move his character along. Without that briefcase, he will be nothing. He'll be pretty much he'll either be a jobber or put down a mid-card, brought out just as a filler. But I'm hoping that with this Money in the Bank thing, that, whether or not he's going to cash it or not cash it, that they leave that in so to actually give Daniel Bryan some relevance, because if he actually cashed it too soon and he loses, that'll be the end of his career. But I actually did like the way the Big Show came out and showing how, actually giving us a taste on how their match would be at Survivor Series. So they did a good job with that. But the Divas match didn't really make any sense to me because of Oksana. Now, Oksana, I guess she's a valet, but I'm not sure whether or not she's a heel or she's a face. I haven't really figured that out yet. She's not even in between. She's just there. So the fact that Tay Long actually put her out there to be in Alicia Fox's corner didn't really make any sense because she didn't do anything. She was just there. Like, she didn't really know what to do. So I think that before they actually have Oksana give her more face time, she needs to desperately develop her character as well as her in-ring persona before they decide to put her out there in a corner of anybody's match. She needs to develop her in-ring character first before they bring her out there. Just like with Jinder Mahal. Hopefully, she won't become irrelevant and be axed like Jinder Mahal, and I wouldn't be surprised if that would happen to him. But moving on from there, the tag team match between the Usos and Hunico and Epico. Now, the fact that they added Primo into this kind of reminds me of Mexican America on TNA, minus the chicks. So I really don't know whether or not the WWE is trying to make fun of them by doing this, or if they're actually trying to develop another faction that was like, that was like the core. But I really don't know. I can't really figure it out. But the one thing I can say is that Hunico and Epico are a very strong tag team. So I really do hope that they stick this out and they decide to keep them as a tag team, because they'll be great for the tag team division on SmackDown because it is suffering greatly. With Raw having their champions, Air Boom, it would actually be great if they actually have a strong tag team for SmackDown, and seeing how those two are very strong and how the Usos are strong but not pushed the way they should be. Maybe it will help out the tag team division a lot more on SmackDown. But the one thing I can say that shocked me for the whole night is the main event of the night. And the reason why I'm saying this is because of Wade Barrett going over cleanly from Randy Orton. Like Randy Orton lost to Wade Barrett and it was clean. It was a clean win. Something I didn't expect. I actually expected interference to make the match incomplete, to still keep both opponents strong for Survivor Series and not make one weaker than the other. Especially if it's your ace in the hole. Or if it's like your prime number one grade A guy to always go to on SmackDown. The fact that Randy Orton put over Wade Barrett on SmackDown makes Randy Orton look weak going into Survivor Series. And even though it's 2 weeks away, it's still gonna make him look weak going into it. Even if he wins next week, it's gonna still make him look weak. And I think that was a bad idea for WWE to do that. I think it would have been better if Christian came out, interfered, or somebody came out, interfered, and kind of made the match incomplete to still make both opponents be strong. Because you don't want to make the faces look weaker than the heels on cable. You kind of want to make some anticipation there, bring in some mystery, kind of not make it look predictable. So I really think it was a bad idea on their part to make Wade Barrett win cleanly. I think it would have been better if they actually left that to Survivor Series instead of doing that for SmackDown. But all in all, SmackDown was great in general. The matches are always never disappoints. But unfortunately, the main event kind of messed things up for me. So I have to give this a B- for the night. Now, it would have had a higher grade, but it has to be that because of the main event. Plus, with the whole Oksana thing and her being out there being completely irrelevant is another reason why I'm giving it a B- for the night. So that is my rating for the night. This is Nature Girl 30 signing off. Peace out, y'all.